Okay, guys and gals, here we go. My name is Jim Glenn. My short wife, Ann, I need to get her a little bit taller chair. Let me go ahead and record onto the cloud so we also have that. And guys, my name's Jim Glenn. My wife, Ann, and I are diamonds with ASEA, and we've been with this amazing company for 4 years now. And we've been hosting this call now, William Friedman and myself, and just I'll lift him up. He's having a wonderful time with his adult son. Today is his adult son's, I think it's his 30th birthday. So they took him and his wife, Kathy, took their son to go see an outdoor concert. So that's where he is tonight. So my wife and Ann and I are going to be your host tonight on Discovering ASEA, where we interview and talk to amazing people or have been with us for a little bit longer, and we're blessed to have Julianne Trimble with us. Julianne, are you with us?
I am with you, and it's
awesome.
Really an honor and pleasure to be with you.
Well, we took us a while to get around to you, but we finally did. You're right here in our native Texas. Julianne, can you just go ahead and share a little bit about who you are? Kind of your short maybe life history, and then how you got introduced into ASEA.
Well, one of the things I think that makes me kind of unique is, unlike most people, I've actually experienced all forms of working and how to make money. I mean, because I used to be a paralegal. I used to manage law offices, so made a lot of good money that way. Got into networking when my nanny told me that my daughter took her first steps and I wasn't there to see them.
How long ago was that, Julianne?
Pardon me?
How long ago was that?
Well, she's 29.
Okay.
So it was about 27 years ago.
Okay.
Or 28 years ago. Oh my gosh. You just really made me feel old, Jim. But
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You know what? I'm
right there with you, girl.
About 20 years, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
But I had one successful foray into network marketing. May as well say it because it happens to a lot of us. A divorce got me out of that. And so I went and owned my own business and ended up I had a brick and mortar business, owned a very successful spa in Frisco, Texas. And, but like I was telling you earlier, I found that, well, for one thing, 2008 hit. So high-end spas weren't doing too great. It was all I could do to keep a roof over my head. But as I really got looking at things, I was like, once you experience the lifestyle and the freedom that networking can give you, there's nothing that compares to it. There just isn't.
How long did you have your spa? When did you start that?
Started that in 2001, and I closed it I actually closed it after I started ASEA. So I had it until about 2012.
And what was life like when you were at the spa? Was it all in consuming? How many employees did you have? I'm sure you never had any headaches with any of the employees.
I was running an adult daycare. I mean, and we were very successful, and it got to a point where I made a fatal flaw, and that was that we couldn't fit everybody in on Saturdays. So I opened up on Sundays.
Oh.
And that was great until, as I said, 2008. And all of a sudden I'm a massage therapist. I had to start taking a lot more of the appointments just to bring in more revenue. I couldn't afford to be giving 50% of everything to the therapists and the estheticians. And before you knew it, I was there 7 days a week. I went 6 years without taking a weekend day off.
Now, was that your big mistake, was opening up on not having a day of rest? Okay.
Yeah, got greedy. And so it brought a lot of good memories. I really did. And some of my best friends are still people that used to work for me.
How many employees did you have at one time?
I think the highest I ever got was 20. If you include housekeeping and receptionists. And
You
that
froze a
kind
little
of
bit
thing.
there. How many was that? You
I think
froze a
20
little bit.
was,
Oh, wow. Okay.
uh-oh.
No, you're good
20,
now.
I think was the highest we ever got.
Wow, that's a lot of employees.
Yeah, no, we were cranking out a lot of business.
Okay. And so
And
your
look what
life was a little bit hairy, scary.
Yeah, let me tell you, in the heyday, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And we were, we catered to a lot of the Dallas Cowboy wives and the Dallas Stars. And I shouldn't say just wives, but primarily wives. And I also ended up with an in with the Dallas Stars. So before 2008, it was awesome.
For those that don't know, that's the Dallas hockey team, the professional
That's
hockey.
the only hockey team.
Right. Yeah. Hockey in Texas. Can you go figure that?
I know. Yeah, so I started looking for a network marketing company, and it took me about 4 years to find a SIA. I looked at everything, and so I didn't just stumble. Well, I kind of did actually stumble into a SIA though, because I hadn't heard of it, but my mom calls me. My mom was living in Colorado, and she was the primary caregiver of my brother, who had, we will just say, a neurological problem.
Okay.
That was, well, actually, and I've been told that it's compliant for me to say it because I will tell you right up front, it didn't cure him. He had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And my mom gives me a call and she's like, I've got Sheldon drinking this stuff. And she told me what it was. And I'm like, well, that sounds kind of bizarre, but okay. But if you've been around anybody who has Lou Gehrig's,
I have.
He'd gotten to a point where he couldn't hold his head up, couldn't talk, couldn't keyboard, couldn't hold a pen or pencil. So you literally could not communicate with him. You could do yes or no by blinking, how many times he blinked his eyes, that kind of thing. And
how old was he? How old was he when he got that issue?
He would have been 50. Well, it took them a long time to diagnose it, but by the time we really knew what we were dealing with, and it was very, very progressive, he was 49.
Oh, wow. That's young.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, I am too, but like I said, ASEA didn't save his life, but what it did do is he could hold his head up. When he went home, he was able to hold his head up, which is huge. And even more than that, though, he could hold a pencil or a pen. So it gave me the honor, one of the greatest honors of my life, to be able to sit by his hospital bed and while he wrote out letters to his 2 young boys. And in fact, last May, I was able to hand one of his sons, we wrote several of them, and I was able to hand Mitchell a letter that his dad wrote him for when he graduated from high school. So that was pretty cool. And so if that's all ASEA had ever done for me, I would obviously be eternally grateful to them. Right. Now, but the background story on that is, like I said, I'd been looking for something, and it wasn't just that I was getting burned out on the spa. I was broke. I never recovered from 2008. It's not something people really like to talk about. I declared bankruptcy. The only reason that I was able to get up to Colorado to be with my brother was because my now husband, boyfriend at the time, I kept telling him I didn't need to go, but it was more pride because I didn't want to tell him I couldn't afford the tickets. And he shows up at my door with airplane tickets. And he's like, no, you got to go. And so I was really broke. And about 4 or 5 months ago, I was going through some of the paperwork because I kept all these notes that my brother wrote. Because it was more than just letters. I would like talk to him and he could write back to me, you know? And I had forgotten all about it. But my mom had told me, she's like, you do know that this is, well, my mom told me after all this went down that she's like, you do know this is a network marketing company, right? I'm like, no. And I'd been looking at everything, you know, or so I thought. And about 4 or 5 months ago, I was going through a stack of papers. And it never made sense to me what my brother was writing me because still communication was a little bit stilted.
Yeah.
I found a note when we were talking about ASEA, just the product, you know, not the business side of it. And he wrote to me, this is your ticket, Julianne.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
No.
Oh, that gives me the chills.
Yeah. Yeah. And I talked to my mom when I saw that and I was like, do you think that's what he meant? Was he talking about ASEA? Because, you know, now I'm looking at a one-sided conversation. And she's like, yes, he kept trying to tell you this was what you'd been looking for. So here I am.
And that was 8 years ago. So he really
Mhm.
hadn't been that long, I would say, when you found out, right? I mean, he hadn't been on the product very long.
He'd been drinking. He only had access to ASEA about 4 months before he passed away.
Something interesting you talked about earlier, but you and your mother used to be in business together, right? Prior to.
What we had been, my brother and my mom and I had all been in a different network marketing company. And
Very
that's
successful.
what I lost in my divorce. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'd all been, you know, it wasn't uncommon at all to see all of our family names in the, like between my mom, my brother, myself and my brother-in-law in the top 10 money earners. So
That's really cool to be a part of that. We've got a young team now that just joined us recently, and the father and the 3 daughters and the sister of the dad. It's just really cool to see how this kind of an opportunity is, how unique it is and how that brings people back together again. So that's really cool how that did that with your family and how your brother kind of spoke that this is it. That's really amazing.
And I didn't realize that was not something I stumbled on until about, like I said, about maybe 5 months ago, just cleaning, going through some stuff. And
what'd that make you feel like?
Pardon me?
What'd that make you feel like did it hit you immediately that?
When I found the notes?
Well, when you found the note and you realized that he was he talking about this opportunity?
Jim, I mean, come on, who's not going to fall apart when they see that? And you realize, you know, it was my brother had always been, you know, like I say, you have siblings and then you have best friends.
Sure.
And one of my brother's biggest concerns, besides his 2 sons, was the fact that he had really watched out for me and my daughter after 2008. And he was really, really concerned about us.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was kind of like somebody upstairs was like going, remember, you know?
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to get that little note framed. Put that one for safekeeping.
Yep.
So what was your journey like then when you got on ASEA? What did you notice? If you don't mind, well, go ahead and just share real quick what was your experience in the beginning with the product?
Well, you know, it's funny. I'm one of those people that it's a real good thing that I got 4 cases, because I would have told you I was healthy. And now, obviously, I saw what it did for my brother.
Yeah.
But looking at it from a business standpoint, obviously, and we always hear, you know, well, I've got to see what it does for me.
Yeah.
And this is before we had things like a See a Healthy Self and different things that provide all this social proof, you know? And so because I decided I thought I was healthy, I went ahead and got myself on the product, obviously, because for me, this really honestly was a business play at that point. And I gave some to a guy that was, I actually, and I'm not telling people to do this, I'm just telling you what I did, okay? I gave product to 3 different people. One of them is now one of my diamonds. The other one was his mom, and the other one was the president of the Plano Bicycling Association. And when I checked back with them, all of them, like maybe 4 or 5 days later, they'd already all had responses.
Awesome.
Wow.
Whereas I didn't have a response for probably 2 months.
And how much were you drinking? Do you remember in the beginning?
Oh, I was only drinking 4 ounces. People, you know, look back and go, oh, I wish I'd been there in the early days. It was hard back then. We didn't have all the information. We're just going on faith, you know. I mean, we got this salt water that's supposed to be good for us. I mean, you know, really honestly, we didn't have all the faith. I mean, all the science and all the social proof that we have nowadays. So now, having said that, like I said, I thought that I was healthy. But I also thought it was not, see, I had struggled when I was in my 20s with chronic fatigue, really, really bad. And nutritionally, I had it to the point where I thought, I'm good. I was very happy with the fact that all I needed to do was probably 5 out of 7 days out of the week, I would need to take a nap in the middle of the day. Now, my naps are only 10, 15 minutes. So sometimes it might be on my massage table, okay? But if I couldn't take that nap, I would get a really bad headache. And I also thought it was normal after moving here to Texas. I thought it was normal to suffer seasonal allergies. And for some reason, it would always affect my eyes. Every year, I'd get an eye infection. I thought that was normal. And that's why I really believe people shortchange themselves on, we learn to just cope with things and go, oh, we're good, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's our new normal.
Yeah. And now, if I even try to tell people that I used to suffer from chronic fatigue, they do not believe me, because I am literally going from about 6 in the morning till about 9 or 10 at night between work and my animals, and I like to run. So I'm going constantly. And I have not had any allergies for probably 5 years now.
So how long did it take for you to have your aha moment with you?
About 2 months. And that was, and what it was I didn't use, this is actually kind of a funny story. I didn't used to dream. And people would tell me like, well, that's because you're not getting into REM sleep. And I'd be like, no, I'm different. I'm sleeping just fine, but I just don't dream. And my husband, he'll have these super vivid dreams, you know, where he'll wake up and tell me all about it. And he used to almost drive me crazy because I'm like, I don't know, it just seemed weird. And so one night I had this really vivid dream. And I sit up in bed and I hit him and I'm like, start telling him all about it. And he's like going, and he wakes up and he's like, it was a dream, go back to sleep. And he turns back over, you know, and then all of a sudden he sits up and goes, you just had a dream? and I'm telling you what, from that day on, I have not needed a nap. No.
Wow, that was 2 months into your, now are you still doing
about 2 months.
Are you still doing the 4 ounces, or have you kind of upped it a little bit?
Well, I am not the most, I'm really bad when it comes to like, I was really bad about doing like in the morning and in the afternoon. I'm just being honest. So what I got in the habit of doing is it is right by my sink in the morning and I drink 4 ounces right then.
Yeah.
And I'm okay if I forget later. But if I've had a hard workout, like, or if I fell off my horse or if I did something stupid, oh, believe me, because I also have it in my kitchen, I'm down in more. So I don't keep track of it anymore, but I would say probably 6 ounces to 8 ounces a day.
So do you regularly fall off your horse?
No,
Oh, good. Okay. Now you have several
No.
animals as well, correct?
I do. I have several rescue animals.
Like what do you have?
3 horses, 1 mule, 2 donkeys, 3 goats, 2 cows,
Wow,
3 dogs,
that's
about
awesome.
10 chickens, a couple
Good
cats,
gracious.
and they're all rescue.
That's great.
Even the cows. And I mean, we paid for the cows. We did because we thought we were going to eat them, but then I realized I can't eat something I raised myself. So they got rescued from us.
Yeah.
That was funny when
You
you
had a-
mentioned that
You had
earlier.
a big heart.
I like animals. I'm actually, it's real funny. My husband's very much an extrovert. But I actually, if you look at the definition of introvert, people are mistaken when they think that an introvert means that you don't like people. I love people, absolutely love people. But like when I go to convention or something like that, it drains me. I mean, being around a large group of people, it just makes it, I get tired, Whereas my husband, I could stay on my little farm for a week and be totally happy, So I laugh about it that it's fun. I tell people all the time, like, look, if I can do this business, anybody can do it. Because I don't really like speaking in public. I don't like doing what I'm doing right now. Honestly, the only way I can do it is by looking at you guys,
Friends.
I don't want to look at myself, I'm very much, but I'm great one-on-one. And I think that's why I'm able to build a really solid team, because while I might not be, how they have like the animal definitions of different people, I'm not the rooster in the room. Okay. I'm more like the dolphin. Okay. Who wants to make sure everybody's happy and everybody,
Yeah.
And you put me in a situation where, like, to me, a dinner party is maybe I'll invite 4 people over. That's a dinner party to me. Okay. So it's kind of funny that I would be in this industry.
When did you start deciding, or did you know from the beginning that this was going to be a business, or did something happen in you where you decided to start sharing it with people? How long did it take you before you started to share it with other people and grow your business to where it is now?
Well, if you think about it, I bought 4 cases. No, this was a total business play for me.
It was or was not?
Yes,
It was a total business play.
Okay. Okay.
I don't even know, to be honest with you, because like I said, I thought I was healthy.
Right.
If it hadn't been a business play, I don't know that I'd even be on the product, because I thought I was healthy, and nobody back then really was explaining to me exactly what it was, so but I'd been looking for the right company. The timing was horrible, but mainly because I'm married now to an engineer, and when I told him that he'd only known me since I moved here to Texas and had a spa, and so he knew. And being Mr. Professional Engineer, he already got teased enough about dating a massage therapist. When I told him that I had our retirement figured out, and I figured I would take all his objections away because I knew exactly what he was going to say to me when he looked at it.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I'm going to sell salt water out of Salt Lake City for a network marketing company. And his whole response was, oh, you cannot tell our friends. And, but it was, but that also put a fire under me, because I knew that now I'm a redhead, so he can argue with me, but I'm still going to do what I want to do. But I knew that it would be a lot harder if I didn't make a seal work to tell him now I want to go try this company. It had to work. So
when did you know that you found your home, that you found the right company? What were your, maybe when you went to Salt Lake City to visit some of the home office people, what was it that anchored you to this company? Because you've obviously done very well here.
honestly, the company I'd been in before had the most convoluted compensation plan in the world. Okay. And so even though I'm not a numbers person, by training on that compensation plan over and over and over again, I mean, it was literally a half-day training just on the compensation plan. Well, that gave me a gift of being able to look. To this day, friends of mine will come to me and say, hey, can you tell me how I can make money with this compensation plan? Okay. So looking at the compensation plan, that was one of the things. Being able to look the founders in the eye and know their heart. I knew that even though it's a harder build because I'd already done it once before, so I knew it, I didn't want a company that, I'm not into like my vitamin's better than your vitamin or I wanted something completely unique.
Right.
And even though it's harder, I wanted something that was on the forefront. I mean, I can look back and remember a time when I had to explain to people what antioxidants were. You know, and so even though I didn't have anybody from my old company to bring over with me, and that's a whole different story. Well, my mom still makes money from that company. So, and I had been under her, so I wasn't about ready to go pillage that, you know, and they had a very unique, ahead of its time product and very scientifically based. And so, and those companies don't hardly ever come along. You know, we always hear this, the latest, greatest breakthrough and all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't take very long to actually look at it and go, no. I wanted a discovery, not, if that makes sense, not something that they just went and made a few tweaks to something.
Yeah.
And so, even though the timing was bad and all that kind of stuff, plus I knew that I would know in my gut when I saw it, and I knew.
Yeah. Jackie, I'm going to come to you here in a second, but I want to ask you one additional question. We have a lot of new people that are watching this for the first time. They may have been invited over to a house. They may be watching this on Facebook. So there's a lot of people that might be seeing this that really don't know what we're talking about. Could I have you pretend that I'm brand new, that you don't know me? How would you explain this very simply, how you do it every day? How do you share this with someone that you know, love, or care about, or you just became a brand new friend with them, maybe, you know, at the grocery store or wherever? How do you go about doing that?
Actually, that's a really simple question for me to answer because it's, number one, I like it best if I can figure out a why. Why would they be interested in this? And for instance, I see Jackie there, and I know Jackie loves yoga. And if I knew Jackie, and if I were to say, Jackie, I have no idea if this is for you or not, but if I had something that might make your recoveries after a really hard workout a lot better, would that be worth 10 minutes of your time? Just take a quick look at it. I always like to use the line, I have no idea if this is for you or not. And I will say that because I'm not going to back anybody into a corner. Yeah. We're not salespeople. And I always want it to be a why. You know, if I'm talking to a single mom, if I knew of a way, okay, I'll give you an example. The latest person that I brought on board, she's the girl that does my eyelashes, and her son got accepted to a high-end soccer league, but she couldn't afford it. And I was like, Bianca, I have no idea if this is for you or not. But if there were a way for you to earn just enough money
Wow.
to pay for Colin's soccer, would that be worth 10 minutes of your time? And that's how I do it every day. And, you know, focus on the fast forward, do one a month. Actually, and I'm not really even worried about whether or not you complete it. Just commit to doing one a month.
Now, some people don't know what to fast forward for those new people.
Well,
Can you just briefly?
For my team, honestly, we just call it a 14-day challenge.
Okay.
And we introduce 25 people and get a yes or a no. We tell them do that once a month, you know, and that way I know, and this is going to fly in the face of what some people believe. You asked me, okay?
Mhm.
I have a hard time with being told that I need to do 2 a day, approach 2 people a day, every day for however long. That's kind of throughout the industry, that's what we're taught, okay?
Right.
Where's your break? You got to remember, you're talking to the girl that works 7 days a week for how many years, you know? And I'm like, no, I would rather do a compressed amount of energy for 2 weeks, knowing that I'm going to get a break. And I can look, if it's August 1st, I can look at my calendar and go, where's my best 2-week period of time? And what's funny is I was doing that myself, kind of keeping my mouth shut about what, you know, because I know it's kind of against what the industry teaches. And yet my team started getting wind of it. And I'm going to tell you what, since they started adopting it, things are rocking and rolling more than they ever were.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Hold on a little bit. Jackie, can you unmute?
I can.
So Julianne is explaining how she brings people in, and now we'd like to really hear some how lives have been changed. Can you, in a very compliant way, share how you got introduced? Where were you before these redox molecules, and how you got introduced, and then how it's changed your life?
I was in another company and not very happy because, you okay, Juliana? Okay. Just because I didn't like what was happening with the leadership of that company, and that meant that the decisions that were being made were negatively affecting many of us in the field. So I was open. Prior to that time, I hadn't been open to looking at anything, because once I'm committed to something, I'm committed.
Right.
And I happened to know somebody who happened to know Denny Robinson, and he figured out a way that we could meet, and we did. And this was prior to either one of us knowing about ASEA at the time. None of us knew about ASEA at the time. So Denny and I met, and it was, you know, hi, how are you? Nothing more than that. We had conversation, of course, but we hope we see each other again. And so I went home, she went home. About 6 weeks later, she called me and says, I think you're going to be interested in what I have. She didn't say those words, I'm paraphrasing, but I know you're looking for something, and I was looking for a business. And she says, I think this might be something you might be interested in, because we had conversations, and she knew that there was someone in my family who had passed away from a very serious cell disease, and she was 12 at the time. And so, thank you. So that got my attention. And the other thing that got my attention was that it was patented. And the other thing that got my attention was there weren't a lot of products. There was one. There might be more, but there was only one. And I didn't have to be an expert on 150 different things, because I'm not and didn't want to be. And I don't really think anybody can. So I went to Salt Lake City. I was in a room with Dr. Gary Samuelson and Virtus. And this is even before Tyler was involved. Vertus was still trying to get Tyra to be involved at the time, even though he was part in the background. And Danny invited me. That's how I got there. And Trish was there, and I joined. Actually, I had joined on the phone before that, but I actually saw the company when I went to Salt Lake City and ordered my product then. But I joined
years ago, Jackie?
Yes, it was. I joined in December of 2009. I actually got product in January of 2010 because that's when I went to Salt Lake City.
Wow.
We didn't have, as Juliana was telling, we didn't have all the things that you have now. In fact, we have a lot now. So I just advise people to find something that works for you and do it.
Yeah.
As long as it's compliant and you're following the system, because you got to have a system that your upline teaches, but find something within that system. I don't care whose team you're on, but find something within that system that is duplicable so that everybody can benefit and do that. So you might not use the same video I use, and that's fine, as long as you're following the system that works.
Sure.
So that was the beginning, and I really didn't have any health issues other than I was getting older. And as Juliana said, and I believe this to be true, even healthy people don't know how healthy they can feel until they take a SIA. So about a month ago, well, actually a month ago, it was in March or shortly before that, somebody was asking me something and I said, oh, I think I have a picture of that on my phone. So I wasn't looking for a picture of me. If you see me on Facebook, you will rarely see a selfie of me by myself. That's just not my thing. I love to get on stage. I love to talk. I love to do things, but I'm not, that's just not me. I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's just not me. So you'll see me in a group of people, but not very often with me. So as I was finding this, and I can't remember what it was, I came across a picture of me that was taken in 2014. So I had been on a SIA for 4 years, and we had just introduced Renew 28. And I saw the picture and I went, oh my gosh, that's me. And so then I went into my bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I looked at the picture and I said, oh my gosh, because you know that it's doing something, you just know because you know. But I didn't even realize that it had that much impact on my appearance. And so I was pleasantly surprised. I'm never amazed, or I'm always amazed, but I'm never surprised. But I was pleasantly surprised this time to see, because what had happened is I had gotten 5 years older, but looked much younger than when I had started. And so why I like to use those two comparison photos now, even though it focuses on me, which I said I really like to focus on everybody else. That's just how I am. Yeah. It shows, my whole point is this is what it did to my face and my body, but you can't, this is exactly what it's doing on the inside. Yeah. And so it's a visual of what it's doing on the inside. It's always easier if you can talk about what it's doing for you. So it was really pretty amazing. So I don't know if you have the pictures available that I see.
We do.
So if you put the first one up with the black glasses, yeah. and I really probably not as that much heavier. Whoops, that's not me.
We're finding. Right.
That's me. Okay, that's me in 2014. And you gotta recognize that I have a turtleneck on and I'm kind of scrunched over, so it looks a little worse than it might have been. But I want you to focus on the wrinkles around the mouth and the chin, and the wrinkles above my eyes. I call them squint wrinkles.
On the side of the eyes too, Jackie.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Throw the other one up there now, please, and take this one away.
You don't like that one,
That's
I guess.
It's not that I don't like it. And the thing is I thought I looked pretty decent with that. you know?
Yeah.
So
And this-
that's the different one. So, and I have no foundation. I don't wear foundation. I never have. I haven't done any kind of treatment, invasive treatment. That's just Renew. And I use a lot of more serum than I did before. In fact, I use it all over my face, and I use the Renew for everything else.
Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
go back and
So
forth.
that's
Okay.
2014.
Yeah. So to me, it was jaw dropping
Yeah.
because
Amazing.
yeah, it was just, it leaves me speechless because what are you going to say? I can't make that up. The
Yeah.
pictures don't lie. I mean, I'm not going to go paint wrinkles in my face or that sort of stuff. So, I'm just thrilled. I was thrilled before I saw the pictures because I knew I felt better. I had, some minor kinds of things, but nothing major, just an age thing. So, I'll be 70 and I like looking younger.
And like you said, Jackie, it's just so important for us to hold on. And that's one thing I love about these kind of pictures is that I really, like you, really try to reiterate what it's doing on the inside.
Yep.
Because that's where we need to focus people's attentions on.
Correct.
It's not just, I mean, we all want to look younger, right? We all want to age a little bit better,
Right.
but it's the insides that I want to protect. It's this thing up here. It's these things right
Right.
there that I want to protect.
Well,
so
and
it's-
yes, and the other thing is that, we're all going to age chronologically. We're all going to go on to a different world. But how we do that, we have almost total control of.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Jackie,
Well,
thank
I
you.
wanted to ask a couple things. So how much do you take, Jackie, a day of the oral, and then do you go through a couple tubes of Renew a month, or how much serum?
I started out because, as Juliana said, we didn't know what we know now. I take
Right.
8 ounces a day, and that's what I encourage other people to start with.
Yes.
I used about 2 tubes of serum a month.
Okay.
And I also use about a tube of Renew a month, sometimes more. It just
Hey.
depends on if I put it all over or if I, no.
Right.
Hey, Jackie, real quick, for those that are brand new, they don't know what the serum is. Could you briefly explain that for people?
Yes, it is a much stronger version of the Renew 28. It's a much smaller tube. It's really for fine lines and wrinkles. That's what a typical serum is for. It's part of the skincare at Renew Advanced Skincare System, but it's just that much. I don't know how many times it is I've heard, but I've never seen anything in writing from the company, so I don't repeat it because it's not official until I see it from the company for me. But it's just much, 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 much more effective. So I use it exclusively on my face
Awesome.
and neck.
Now, do you also use the cleanser and the moisturizer?
Oh, yes.
The whole
In fact, I
package?
use the moisturizer all over my body. I have very sensitive skin. I can't use a lot of things. I use that as moisturizer for everywhere. Yep,
Wow.
absolutely.
Well, guys, if you don't know what that is, just get back to the person that invited you to this amazing webinar, and they will be able to gladly share what that is with you. So, Jackie, anything else you wanted to ask?
No, just, it's 4 simple steps. That's what's so amazing about our skincare is that we cleanse, we get the redox, then we get the moisture our body needs. And when you described, this is what it's doing on the inside. Oxidative stress is like rust on something outside that got wet. Our body inside from oxidative stress is rusting. And so when we see a transformation like yours is age reversal. And that's exactly what it can do for any organ inside the body too. So we really appreciate you sharing. And
Yeah.
I'm going to pass on your YouTube video. I didn't realize you had a YouTube video about your testimony. So that's pretty neat.
That's even before these pictures.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna,
Awesome.
so thanks again.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Jackie.
Thank you.
You bet. So, Denise, can
Hello.
you? Hey, how are you?
Welcome.
Good, thank you.
I understand you're on the other side of the big pond.
Yes, we are. Yes.
Where do you live, Jack or Denise?
I live at Tannum Sands in Queensland, but at the
Okay.
moment I'm visiting my auntie in Dolby.
Well, thank you for taking your time to join us. You're Saturday early morning, or
Yes.
mid-morning, 10:30 now. But thank you so much for joining us. Denise, can you briefly share what your experience has been with these amazing little molecules that are natively made inside of our bodies? Can you explain where you were before, how you got introduced, and then where you are today?
So we were introduced to ASEA probably October 2016 by Julie Watts, who is now a double diamond in ASEA. Mainly for our daughters. They're very sensitive people and allergic to a lot of things. So that was the reason why Julie introduced us. We didn't start taking the molecules until January of 2017. We were all just taking the maintenance dose, which is 60 mils here in Australia. And within 2 or 3 months of my husband starting to take them, he started experiencing blood in his urine. He went to the doctors, had lots of tests and everything, and they were concerned about things. So they went in and had a look, and they actually found that he had abnormal cells in his bladder, which had spread to his urethra and prostate. They took away as much as the cells, the bad cells that they could, without damaging anything. But the surgeon kept on saying to us after the procedure that she couldn't understand why the abnormal cells were coming away from the wall of the bladder so easily, which we think was the ASEA working on those abnormal cells at that time. So when he came home from hospital, I said, right, well, you need to be taking a bottle of ASEA at the time. There weren't many people in Australia that had gone down this path, and I think all of them were on a cruise in America somewhere. I rang Julie and told her what was going on. And in the meantime, the doctors had all said that Derrick had needed to have his bladder and urethra and prostate removed because the disease he had was so bad it was going to take his life. So everything was booked, all the surgery and accommodation and everything was all booked. And then Julie was sitting next to Harry and April on the cruise, and Harry said to Julie that he would talk to Derrick. So Derrick rang him after the cruise had all finished and they were back home. And so Derrick decided not to have the surgery and just to proceed with ASEA. But we also went to a naturopath as well. The GP wasn't happy with Derrick's decision and wanted to know how long he would give his decision, and Derrick said 6 months, which would have brought us up to about Christmas 2018. No, yes, 2017. In January 2018, he had lots of tests, and they could not find any abnormal cells anymore anywhere, and also his blood work was equivalent to a newborn baby. So they couldn't find anything wrong, but that was 6 months of taking a bottle of ASEA a day. And he continues now to still have large doses, probably half a bottle. But he had another round of tests earlier this year and they still can't find anything wrong with him. So everything.
Wow. Denise, that's amazing. So it's silent. It's sort of changed your life a little bit, correct?
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have known that he probably had the disease until it was too far, and yeah.
Well, just so you all know, you referenced Harry and April, and they're a couple in Los Angeles area, and he also had an issue with a body part where he had the real bad cells, and he started drinking, if I'm not mistaken, right, Denise, I think 16 ounces a day. And his issue, which the doctors did not give him a good prognosis. But guys, I do want to reiterate here that we are not making any suggestions at all that these molecules treat, diagnose, or cure anything. All we're saying is that what these molecules are is the signaling molecules that are native inside your body.
That's
He
right.
accidentally discovered it several years ago, actually about 30 years ago. Then they were stabilized about 10 to 12 years ago. And when we apply these molecules to our body and or drink them, our body does what our body was designed to do, which it takes care of itself. So that is just an absolutely amazing story, Denise, to be able to have. What's your husband's name?
Derrick.
Derrick.
Yes.
It'd be great if he could come by. Is he near you?
Just one moment. I'll go find him.
Yeah, go get him. Bring him over here. So Jackie, we lost. Oh, everybody's leaving me.
Yeah, she just got it.
You're unmute.
I was just going to grab a pen because I wanted to write Denise's name down.
Oh, yeah.
But
She has a unique last
how-
name, so you have to get the spelling on that.
Jackie, just real quick, I lost Julianne, and Denise is going to go get her
Put
husband.
back.
But how does this make you feel to know you're part of a company that does this? That
You know,
something so
It's interesting that you asked that question because I don't know how to describe it to you, but I felt that when I was in Salt Lake City the very first time when we were in a room, there were probably, I don't know, 30 of us, 40 of us. And there was just something that told me that this was it. This was it. And so it is indescribable. It is something that you have to experience it to understand it. And you have to experience the culture to understand it because it's not like other cultures.
right.
I mean, I'm here, you're here. We don't have any connection business wise. We're just all in this together. And for everybody has the same goal. We all get it. We all get there a little bit differently. Everybody has the same goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Denise, who is that handsome young guy over there?
Hey, Derrick.
So this is Derrick.
G'day, everyone.
How are you,
Hello,
Derrick?
welcome.
So how are
Yeah.
you feeling?
You feeling
Me, I'm
good?
great.
So what's it like to experience what you experienced, to have a bad thing told you something's going to happen not too good to you, and now you sit here today looking phenomenal?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock at first, but I didn't have any symptoms or anything, no pain or so I couldn't gauge where I was until I had some results from a doctor. And once I had that, I was happy.
So you had no symptoms of that issue at all?
Not really, and only what I passed in my urine.
You know, guys, I just hope this is something everyone is listening to very closely, because we all have these bad cells that are growing inside of us. And some kind of an angel came down on you to have you experience what you did. So you found out what was in you, so you knew. And another miracle is that someone shared these amazing miracle molecules with you. And,
Yes.
and here you are today. So I just want to thank you so much, Derrick, for joining us this evening, or this morning for you, this evening for us.
Yeah.
No worries.
So thank you very much, Denise. That was amazing.
You have a great life
Thank
ahead of
you.
you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just keep on helping share the great news of these miracle molecules with the rest of Australia.
Yes, we are. We're trying
Yeah.
very hard.
Great. You're
Yeah,
doing
no
great.
matter how silly they think we are, like Julianne said, selling salt water from Salt Lake City, or maybe Jackie said that, but this is pretty special salt water from Salt Lake City,
Oh, very
right?
special. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Julianne, let me come back to you, young lady. Go ahead. Are you going to unmute yourself, or do I need to?
There we go.
There you go.
We got you
So
back.
I'm going to let you wrap it up.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm going to be quiet. That's the first. You've been with this company almost as long as Jackie has. You've built a phenomenal business with these amazing molecules that when you hear stories like with Denise and Derrick, how does that make you feel to know that you're part of this and to know that you're changing lives? And what's it like to you to, it's
Yeah,
overwhelming sometimes to me.
You know, the thing is like I said, for me, this was very much a business play. And that is not the majority of the people that come to ASEA. Okay.
Yeah.
Most people, for me, it was very much a business play. And so when I started getting these just stories back, and especially stories back from people not even necessarily that I introduced, but like that, like I told somebody and they told somebody and they told somebody, and this person, like 4 people away from me as far as who told them. And I hear these miracle stories, and you know, it is so humbling. There's no other way to, when you come to something as you're, you know, like I said, I told my husband, I've got our retirement figured out, you know, and to realize that you have been so blessed to be put into a position where not only are you helping people with their finances and their, and yourself, obviously, but, you know, I think it was Denny, it might've been Trish who started saying that, you know, the amount of your check is a direct reflection of the amount of people that you've helped.
Yep.
And it's honestly, I cannot think of another word other than humbling. You know, to be given this gift and to be given this opportunity to really impact the world. So.
Jackie, any last words before we shut off?
No, I would say to any new people watching, just if you are a believer in this, and obviously you are because you're here and you're part of it, don't let anybody discourage you. Don't let anybody dull your sparkle. That's not my saying, that's something I have hanging in my house, but it's, people really don't understand in the beginning, and just keep educating them. Don't push, just keep educating them, and little by little. And if they come along, great. If they don't, it's okay. Eventually they'll get it.
And Denise, how grateful are you that someone shared it with you?
Oh, very grateful. I don't think I would have my husband any longer if we didn't know about ASEA. So if he had proceeded with what they wanted to do. So anyway, we're just all very grateful, and just want to let everybody know that you do have a choice, that, you know, you can try lots of other things, but this is amazing.
Wow.
Mm.
Guys, this was a blast.
Yeah, we appreciate you
This was
all
very
sharing.
touching. Julianne.
Yeah.
We've met a couple times on some of the meetings, and I always admired you. You were very quiet, but I'm very impressed with what you just did for us and what you did for everyone here. I definitely want to thank you.
It was my honor. And Jackie, you and I will stay out of all the selfies, okay? I'm with you on that one, girl.
And Jackie, thank you
Yeah.
for your time.
Yeah.
Look
Really
forward to
appreciate
meeting you in
Vegas.
Vegas here.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Awesome.
And Denise, thank you.
Thank you, Derrick.
Thank
No
you,
problem.
Derrick. That's
Thanks for hosting.
having you here. Guys, if you're watching this, please get back to the person that invited you to this call. Please join our global mission to bring goodness to the world. We've got something that no one else has, because of one family, one man said no to a generational wealth. He said no, and he said yes to us right now. And if he had not said yes, honestly, I don't know where we would be. And Julianne, we too looked at this as a business, but I too had a health challenge with my 10 back surgeries. And this has given me our life back, but it's also then been a blessing financially for us. So guys, please help us share the message. We are here every Friday night, Saturday in Australia at 7 o'clock Central Time. We have some amazing people coming up in the recent shows. And for all of you, thank you so much. We really honor your time. I'll never forget Trish saying on one time we had her on our call, and she said, what else do ASEA people do on a Friday, Saturday morning? But we got to come out here and share the great news of these amazing miracle molecules called redox signaling molecules. So guys, with that, thank you so much. We love and
Good
adore
night,
you.
everybody.
Good to see everybody.
Thanks again.
So thank you.
Thanks, Angie. Thanks, Jim. Nice to meet everybody. Bye.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again, Denise. Thank you, Derrick.